Hello everyone, I am back here to reveal, as you can see, my newest component. Um, I just right now purchased the Audio Research Ref 6 SE. So that is my newest component as of yesterday. I know there's not much information on this component, and it's a relatively new preamplifier that I believe was released 2 months ago or so. All I could say is I'm very impressed. I have about maybe 10, 12 hours on it right now. It's still going through the emotions. As you know, this preamplifier takes about 600 hours to break in completely. And, it has a lot of upgrades, which you can see on the Audio Research website if you want to know what changes there are between the Ref 6, which I also owned, and the Ref 6 SE. All I can say to you from my preliminary feeling is that it is smoother than the Ref 6. It's a lot more relaxed, and it's got a very, very big presentation. That's all I know so far. It's too early to really, say what I feel 100% about the preamplifier. But anyway, the idea here was for me to bring a preamplifier that allows me to take away a little bit of that excess energy that I was getting from the DAC when plugged in to my Coliseum Coliseum amplifier. There was a tremendous amount of information that was coming when I used a DAC direct, and at times there was a little too much, I would say. That too much of a good thing is never good. I mean, we all know that. That's in life in general. But anyway, the purpose of the purpose of this preamplifier is to really see what I can do with the signal coming from the DCS DAC, and to see if it can actually sweeten things up a little bit. Anyway, but this video isn't really about that. This video, although I will be using the Reference 6 SE to present the video that follows right now, this video is about really the comparison that I have done between the Sasha DAW Wilson Audio speaker and the Focal Scala Utopia EVO, their latest version of the Utopia line. Okay, I know a lot of people see plenty of Focals out there, including the Scala version 2, and there's talks about how the Scala version 2 and the EVO isn't this, it's basically the same speaker, but you're able to just biamp the EVO. Let me tell you something. I actually heard the version 2 at a location, at a store that I'm not going to disclose here. There's no question the EVO is a different animal than the Scala version 2 or any version 2 from the Utopia line. Okay, so if you think that buying a version 2 gets you 95% of the EVO, I think you are making a huge mistake. It's not the same speaker. It may look the same, but I can tell you, besides the biamping capability on the Evolution Scala, there's a lot more that was done that, maybe I haven't really been able to articulate very well. But I feel like the sound is just larger, it's more effortless, it's actually easier to drive. It addresses some of the bass issues that were notorious on the version 2. It does have more of a linear bass presentation. Bottom end presentation is just different. Okay, let me get that out of the way first. So if you're looking for a Scala, don't make the mistake of thinking the version 2 is the same as the Scala EVO. It's not. All right, now that said, I have been playing with my Wilson Audio DAWs for quite some time now. I feel like they are where they need to be in terms of breaking time, and so are my Focals. Of course, I've owned them longer. The Focals have they have about, I would say, a few months of use, so they have plenty of hours. There's nothing else that's going to change in those speakers anymore. But these speakers couldn't be more different, guys. I mean, in terms of their presentation and what they do. If I were to say, what each one does, I can say to you the following. Okay, so the Sasha DAW number 1 is very real sounding. Okay, there's a sense of you're there feeling that you get with the Sasha DAW. It feels as if, first of all, the mids in the middle are extremely just organic. That's the best word. It almost sounds like somebody is indeed there, indeed between the speakers or the mic, and singing to you. The mids are extremely beautiful. The highs, although they're great, they do not have the resolution of the beryllium tweeter found in the Scala EVO. The bass it's amazing. I mean, the bass on the Sasha DAWs is incredible. It is not at the level of a Alexia. It's not. It doesn't scale as large as an Alexia. It's not designed to do that. One of the things that I wanted to comment on is the Alexia is that speaker that turns into a bookshelf speaker, or it can turn into literally a club speaker. It can do both, no problem. The Sasha can't really become a club speaker. It's impossible for it to scale as large as an Alexia. It's just different design. I mean, it's just more bigger drivers on the Alexia, bigger cabinet. It doesn't do that. Okay, but it does give you a lot of intimate presentation. It's got great imaging. It's got an amazing amount of resolution. Believe it or not, I hear a lot of changes through that speaker that really surprised me. Okay, for a soft dome tweeter and for the drivers that it has, it really does an amazing job at displaying and communicating to you what you have done throughout your system, or what you have taken away, or what you have added. Okay, I will say that I believe the Sasha DAW is a little more room dependent than the Scala EVO. I find that it does need space behind it, although that doesn't mean you cannot place it against the wall. Of course you can place it against the wall, but I don't know if I mentioned it before. I did own the Sasha 2s when I had my system in my living room, and I never had any bass out of the Sasha 2s when they were up against the wall. They need to be farther away from the wall to really get the bass right. As you know, my room is treated. I got a lot of room treatments, everywhere, and so my room doesn't really lack the right bass, or the extension. So the speakers get along in my room really well. I mean, there's a lot of impactful organic bottom end. I don't have any complaints about the bass. I think that the bass sounds extremely full in your chest. It can scale pretty nicely. It's all there. But I can definitely tell you that this is a speaker that if you place it up against the wall, because you have no room behind it, you might run into some issues. I can tell you that right now. I feel like it needs at least 3 to 4 feet behind it to open up and give you more of what it can do. Okay, so that's in a nutshell what I find great about the DAW. Very pleasant, extremely engaging, beautiful, real sounding. It really has an incredible amount of resolution. Okay, now the Scala EVO. Scala EVO has the most apparent, the biggest thing that I took away from doing this switch was, number one, the Scala has a bigger presentation. It has a bigger sound stage. It almost has the same size sound stage as Wilson Alexia. I feel like it's pretty much there, that even. So yes, it throws a bigger sound stage than the DAW. It also has more layers of resolution on the high frequency, and that's no surprise. We're talking about the beryllium tweeter. We know what that can do. I mean, if you look at the Magicals, they're notorious for having a ton of resolution. And any other speaker that uses a version of the beryllium tweeter, we know that they're great at that. They excel at giving you a ton of resolution. The mids are beautiful, but the one thing that it did for me, the Scala, that the Alexia, that the DAW doesn't do, is a feeling like the walls come down. Every time I put the Scala in the room and I turn the music up, I feel like I can't tell the music is coming from the speakers. Impossible for me to detect. It almost feels like it's from the middle and from the sides. It doesn't give me the feeling like it's coming from a cabinet. I don't know how Focal pulls that off, but that's the feeling I get. I mean, immediately, it's just, there is that feeling of what happened to the walls, what happened to the ceiling, what happened to the back wall. It's gone. Okay. I mentioned already the resolution on the high frequencies. The mids are there. I will say that the mids may not be at the level of the DAW. I would say that the mids on the DAW are more real, but the knock on the mids of the DAW is, and this is me nitpicking, is at times I feel like the high frequency, the mid frequencies, the mid range, the vocals can become a little shouty. So when a singer is hitting a very high note and it elevates, his or her voice high, I find that the Wilson can accentuate these things to the point that you almost have to turn the volume control a few clicks down because the voice is just protrude a little too much. And that I have picked up on the Wilson occasionally. Now, granted, this is not a normal volume or low volume. This is when I really put the pedal to the metal, as I like to do oftentimes with my equipment. That doesn't happen with the Focal. The Focal stays composed, whether it's high, low, or moderate volumes. The mids really don't do that to you. The bass, I will say for me, the bass is probably, I'm gonna say the Sasha has the upper hand on the bass. I think it's the rear port. I think my room is just better for that speaker. But if my room gave me no room to have the speaker literally 6-7 feet as I have him right now, I don't know if that would be the case. I'm gonna say that the Focal is probably an easier speaker to place in a room that doesn't have so much space around it. I think the Focal can actually work better in tighter spaces because it's a down firing port. So it does interact with your room, but it doesn't interact as much as a rear port design, rear ported speaker, right? It doesn't need the wall behind it to punch. Focal doesn't need that. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind when you're making up a decision on what speaker is best for you. I don't think anyone here will be disappointed with either speaker at all. In my opinion, one of the biggest things, guys, that I've always said in my videos is what I like the best is that speaker that takes me away. That takes me away, including speakers that have flaws, that are not perfect. Because if I have learned one thing about this hobby is I don't care how well a speaker measures. It means nothing to me. It means nothing. All those measurements they do in magazines, they mean nothing to me. What really matters to me is how the speaker behaves with my ears. That's really what matters to me. So when I listen to these two speakers, both tend to take me away, but in a different way. That it's very hard to explain. It's very difficult to tell you which one I prefer over the other speaker. I think it really depends on the rest of your setup, the rest of your components. The Focal needs, in my opinion, it's a little friendlier with amplification. It's easier to drive it. With the Wilson, I believe you're going to need a little better grip on those woofers. So you definitely need an amplifier that has enough grip on the woofers and can actually have enough damping, a high damping factor to push and stop those woofers, on demand. For now, I don't know what I'm going to keep. I don't know if I'm going to part ways with the DAW. I don't know if I'm going to part ways with the Focals. Everything turned around for me the moment I introduced the Ref 6 SE audio research preamplifier. Everything changed. I don't find it the same anymore. I find that now things became even better. What I will add is that when I introduced the Ref 6 yesterday, Ref 6 SE, I found that the Focal made far more improvements to its sound than it did with the Sasha DAW. I feel like it was much more drastic what I heard through the Focals. I don't know why. I actually had one of you guys show up yesterday and had the pleasure of meeting one of you guys to listen to the Sasha DAW and the preamplifier and everything, right? Again, I wasn't using Odin. I wasn't using any Odin. I was using Hurricane cabling and some Merrill Audio speaker cables that you see on the floor still laying around. And we heard the Sasha DAW for maybe about 25-30 minutes. Person was extremely impressed. Loved everything. He was in shock with the amount of resolution that he heard. So towards the end of the listening session, I said, you know what? Let me pull the Scalas out of there, out of the corners, put them in front of the Wilsons, as you'll see on the video. And you know what? I don't judge them. Let's just play them. Let's just see what they do, and you know how they behave, and with the new preamplifier, and that's it. You get an idea, more or less. We're not going to be too analytical with the speakers because they're not going to be where they need to be anyway. The moment I played the Scalas, I never heard the Scala sound so good in my room. The guy's jaw dropped. He was in maybe 10 seconds already saying, this is far better. This is far better than what I just heard on the DAW. This is far better. This is more real, more layered, faster sounding, better separation, better imaging. And here's what's the kicker, guys. He is a long-time Wilson audio owner. He currently actually owns Wilson speakers. He's had them for about 10 years, I believe he said. So that was actually a huge compliment, but I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, nah, this guy is crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's sitting in the middle, and I'm sitting off to the side, so I don't really have the sweet spot. And I'm like, this guy is not really, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you know. And when he left, I sat down in the middle and the sweet spot. And I was just blown away by the focals. I was blown away. I never expected the speaker to sound so good. I don't remember the focal Scala sound that good, or as good as it does now with the preamplifier that I added. I mean, I don't remember ever sounded so amazing. So there's a lot to think about, guys, as far as what I need to do. But I just wanted to bring this video, short video, actually long now. The next two clips will be essentially, you'll be able to hear both speakers. The Wilsons are spiked on the floor. The focals are literally just on wheels, put right in front of the speakers, in front of the Wilsons. It's not perfect. I understand it's not great. I understand it's not the best situation. But bear with me. Keep in mind, you know, with these times in the coronavirus, it's only my wife and I and my daughter. So I don't really have any help to take these Sashas off these, you know, spikes and get them from where they are, which is the right spot for them actually after measurements. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the energy to do that. So I just placed them where you're going to see them on the video and push play. Let me know your thoughts in the bottom of the video, please. I want to know what you guys think. I mean, what do you find are the differences? Which presentation do you like best? I mean, do you like Wilson's approach or do you like focals? I don't think either is wrong. I think this is all about preferences. I don't think is about one is better than the other. I think it's what you like best. You know, the person who came last night said he has Wilson's and he right now prefers focals. Great. That was great feedback. I mean, I am in the middle. I don't know. I can't tell you, but you'll know eventually where I go. And I would love to know where you guys are with what you're hearing now. This video has never been done by anybody, so I am very curious to read your comments below. You know, I'm always reading below everything you guys are saying, trying to read, and believe me, everything that you guys write at the bottom of the videos I read. Every day at nighttime, I'm looking through every comment that you guys leave me. So don't think your comments are not being looked at. They are being looked at by me. And I'm always glad to hear your impressions and your preferences, because at the end of the day, this hobby is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be it's very subjective, and it's a matter of opinion, and no opinion is wrong at this point. You know, everything is welcome, and I'd love to hear what, you know, if maybe we have a higher amount of Wilson lovers, or do we have a higher amount of focal lovers? Great, I would love to know that through my videos. And yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you for your time. I'm a little tired today. I appreciate you following me and subscribing to my videos. Please hit the like button. You know, you get those little notifications when I upload a video immediately on your phone, so you don't have to be scrambling, figuring out if I have uploaded another video. Subscribe, and let's keep doing this. As the Rev 6 continues to break in, I will keep adding my comments, and we'll keep going at it, okay? Be safe out there, guys. Thank you for your time.